This is part 2 of Radio Days, Life Behind the Mic, and I call this particular chapter Beginnings. If you've never really been there, Earth is a weather nightmare. It's too cold in the winter, too hot in the summer, and most of the food will eventually kill you if your neighbor doesn't do it first. Realize you don't get a choice when a female and male species mate. It's a lottery for both the parents and the offspring. The parents don't know what they're getting, and their children don't know what's ahead for them. Certainly as a child, you don't get to pick location, parents, siblings, economic strata. We don't even mention religion, IQ, or color. If I had a personal choice, it would be well-educated, loving Christian parents in an upper-middle-class family with open-minded, nonviolent siblings, where everyone were friends with everyone else. And also had a good sense of humor. I didn't get that. As you can see, I had no luck choosing a destination other than Earth. Gee, some celestial bus drivers have no sympathy. Not only was my destination on the third rock from the sun out of my hands, I couldn't even get a choice where I could land. I really wasn't getting a break anyplace. Looking at the photo from 1952, I'm only a few days old, and appearing with my brother in it, my older brother, I sort of like a third world baby with a big head. I'll be honest about it. And judging from the posture I was put in for the picture, no wonder I have back pain. Now the picture features a picture of my older brother sitting, and myself kind of laying in some type of basket or something, I believe, or on blankets or something. Very bad position, by the way. No wonder I have a bad back. Okay. Anyways, I put the captions in the picture, and it's a conversation supposedly that was taking place between my older brother and myself, as I just entered the world. Dan, okay, you see that big guy over there? That's your dad. Andy, me. Oh shit, I'm too small to make a run for it. I'm crapping in my diaper now. Anybody ever tell him to keep it in his pants? Dan, now how do you think I got here? Andy, got one of those raffle tickets too, huh? Dan, now just remember who's boss here and I'll go easy on you. I'm fucked. And so the saga of Dan and Andy begins, toothless in the beginning, and toothless in the end. I was born on July 27th, 1952 at 10:55 p.m. at Digness Hospital in Old Brooklyn, a West Side, Cleveland, Ohio neighborhood. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. My dad worked as a tool and die man at General Motors assembly plant. I had an older brother ahead of me. He was born on May 1st, 1951, aptly on what is called May Day in the United States of America. I was conceived sometime in November of 1951. It was obviously a boarding of television on the old months. A few weeks before I was due, my old man wanted to visit his mother in West Virginia, with a very pregnant wife behind the wheel and a 1-year-old in the back seat. My dad was not really an intelligent nor a reasonable individual. My mom refused. Let's face it, Floyd Daniel Boggs had just seen the birth of one child, and why worry about the second? Been there, done that. So he left his wife, Carol Louise Boggs, my mom of course, home wearing a new houndstooth. The guy is from West Virginia, so you have to understand that. Basically, a houndstooth suit, with a bag in hand, hopping the first Greyhound bus to a farm outside Parkersburg, West Virginia. Reason for the trip? He was homesick and wanted to show his mom his new zoot suit he bought. My mother was off to care for my older sibling, Holden Daniel Boggs, and Dan was a handful. Dan's first name is from one of my mom's favorite teachers at James Fort Rhodes High School on the west side of Cleveland. And of course, my brother's second name is my father's second name. And basically, my father got down there, his mother Sylvia was horrified that my dad would leave his wife, being closely due to deliver me, of all people, and horrified my dad was such a dumb stump that she sent him right back to Cleveland. Now we have to analyze this for a moment. First, my mother did not get married for love. She wanted to get away from her domineering mother, Auntie Jean. And it was a choice between a guy who lived in his parents' attic or my father. My dad, I guess, might have been, to my mom's eyes, the lesser evil. Kind of wonder about that. Anyways, what had happened is that, with what I know now, it would have been better if my father had never left the hills of West Virginia. Just, could have avoided the whole mess. And basically, or since it was too late, and I was on my way, allow him to stay in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Hey, don't invite him back. Just let him stay down there, perfectly happy. At least I would be. As far as that goes, and forget the whole thing. I mean, early on, it was a loveless marriage from my mom to a buffoon with a home study course. I'm studying a high school degree from the back of a matchbook, literally. I know that seemed cold, and to be honest with you, it is. However, I have good reason to look at it that way. I didn't know all the physical and mental abuse I would take from this man, and there was plenty. When I came into this world, I was christened Floyd Andrew Boggs. Now, I'm a little chagrined by this, honestly, if you know me. I get my dad's first name, which, I'm sorry, just is seconds in my name, and really sucks, to be honest with you. Didn't like the name at all. But I got stuck with it. Basically, the reason for that is that that was the only name left of my father's, and I suspect that my mom was trying to avoid the use of Floyd because it is a pretty crappy name. And not thinking my second child would get stuck with it. Geez, that was me. My younger brother Mark lucked out because both names were already taken. And to be honest with you, it might cause a few problems for my mother in the Boggs household if he were named after his real dad, George Malloy. In any case, well, the name on Mark's name on the birth certificate, of course, was again Mark Boggs, but it was later changed to Jean before he made her his second wife. However, Mark was at least a decade away from my birth. There are no real first day pictures of me. Chances are no one showed up at the hospital with a camera. At least in my family, I was not a star. However, Dan didn't read a photo either the day he was born, so I'd say they'd make us about even. At least the photo of shots taken separately of both of us. The ones Dan may still exist someplace, most likely with Mark. But I fear the ones of me are gone forever. Unfortunately, my mom and to a much greater degree my dad were not very good at passing down family history. So a lot of information in family history would be cryptic at best. But this chapter is my beginning, so that would be basically where it's at and will be centered. My offspring and that to come will be able to add the information giving their own personal perspective about me and their situation. To Dan, my older brother, I was an interloper coming in his action. And I would say that, hey Dan, I would have only been too pleased to let you be the only child in this family. I didn't want to be here, but I wasn't given a choice in the matter. As I said earlier, it's a lottery which family I joined from the spirit world, and I drew the short end on this one. Very early on, Dan would make sure I know who was the head bull in his family. And to be honest with you, I wasn't even really in the competition. It just wasn't me. I truly wanted to be an equal, but I didn't want to be less than. And however, as far as Dan was concerned, the battle front lines were drawn. From this point on, I would take a lot of beans not only from my father, but Dan as well. It was to be a bitterly long ride for at least the next 2 decades. A very painful one. I'm going to tell you, life was hell. We are born into this world, no road maps we are given. There is no negotiating, for we are pawns to fate. That was, of course, written by me personally. Well, that ends the beginning of this chapter. We'll see you in a bit with a brand new chapter. As I said before in my foreword, for all the generations that come from me, my son, my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and those after, I love you all, and I wish you the best in whatever you do. Thank you.